Welcome, guys. This is another episode of Worlds Collide. I'm Justin.
And I'm Mitch.
And today, who are we doing?
We are doing the immortal Vandal Savage.
Damn, he's been around a while.
You're telling me. You are telling me.
He is from before the count of time.
Yeah. Actually, when I was doing research on him, if we're going to jump right into it, he was born... Where is my stats on him? 1 second.
He was not born Vandal Savage.
No, his name was something else close to Vandal Savage.
Yes.
But he was born 50,000 BC.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. So, needless to say, is he our oldest character that we've talked about?
Yes. He'll be the oldest character we'll ever talk about.
I believe so. Now, because we talked about Phoenix Force and it's an entity, but...
Yeah,
Vandal?
technically, the Phoenix Force is older, technically.
That's what I was going to say. I think that might be the one exception.
Yeah, because the Phoenix comes from, like, the dawn of the universe.
Because Thanos, no.
No.
We haven't done Darkseid yet, but I don't know how old he is. Probably not.
Darkseid, possibly, he is a god. But I don't know how old he actually is.
And Apocalypse?
He's older than Apocalypse.
Right.
Because
So
Apocalypse was around in the Egyptian time.
And that ain't before BC.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was BC, not 50,000. Not 50,000.
Right. Okay, so our oldest character to date, and damn, he looked good still.
Yep.
It's like he hasn't aged a day.
Yeah.
50,000 plus.
So a lot of you are probably asking who Vandal Savage is, because he's not really the most well-known villain unless you've watched the Justice League animated series, the Justice League Unlimited, Young Justice.
Pretty much any Justice League or DC Legends.
Yeah, or just DC Legends.
He's the main villain in that for the
first
majority
season.
of... Yeah.
The first season.
Mm-hmm.
And also he was the main villain in Justice League War.
So, if you don't know about him, you've probably seen him or heard of him at some point.
Yes.
Without even realizing.
Yeah. So, Vandal Savage, the reason why we're talking about him, normally we talk about characters that have been featured in movies recently, and he hasn't been featured in movies. But the reason why we want to talk about Vandal Savage is because I feel like he's a character that should be introduced into the movies.
Yeah, because he's gotten a lot of screen time, at least through, obviously, DC Legends this tomorrow, and through all the cartoons. They've used him an abundance of times in the cartoons, and he's always got that same kind of look, but a little bit different. I like the different style that each writer or artist draws him in.
Yeah.
It's always black hair.
Yeah.
He's always looking like the pompous, rich-ass dude.
Yeah.
Someone who probably owned some slaves at some time in his life.
Yeah.
A ranch. You know, he's been a king. He's been a prince. I'm
going to go down through the list of aliases he's been.
He's probably had more jobs than anyone.
Yeah, you could say that. So, in the comics, his first appearance was in Green Lantern, issue number 10 in 1943.
Well, that's old.
So he was a villain for the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott. Every time that I always forgot the original Green Lantern's name.
Alan Scott.
Alan Scott. Never trust somebody with two first names.
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Clark Kent.
Yeah, I guess Kent is the first name.
Barry Allen.
Yeah.
Don't trust any superhero ever.
But since then he's been a villain, mostly actually for the most of his comic book history. He's been a villain of the Justice Society. Yeah, which is from Earth 2.
I thought it was JLA.
No, Justice League of America is Earth 1. That's like Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Arrow.
Right.
The Justice Society is from Earth 2, and it's with the Golden Age heroes. That's Alan Scott and Jay Garrick and Hawkman and Vixen and all the Golden Age.
Earth 2's Golden Age. And Golden Age is the originals, and Silver Age is all the secondary.
That's right. The more modern variation.
Yeah. And now we got, because there wasn't a Bronze Age, but essentially now we have the new 52.
Yeah.
And those are how they've split the three generations, you'd say?
Yeah, well, it was, there's been a few crises in the DC landscape. You have the Crisis on Infinite Earth and Final Crisis.
Final Crisis.
So in Final Crisis is where Vandal Savage got brought into Earth 1 continuity.
I see.
And because he's timeless, the switch between the two different Earths didn't affect him at all. No. He just acquired new villains, new enemies.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, I've been here all along. It's just now I've run into different people.
Now there's more people for me to hate and kill.
Yeah, perfect.
And eat.
And eat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Lex Luthor has gone on record in saying that Vandal Savage might be the first ever cannibal.
But would you put it past them?
No, actually, it's...
I totally believe it. It's probably like on his to-do list.
Well, no, like... there was a time where he started losing his immortality, and every time that happens, he eats his own family. Anybody that has within his bloodline, so his not ancestors. What's the opposite of ancestors? His descendants. Yeah,
descendants.
Yeah, he would eat his own descendants. He even made clones of himself, and then he would eat those clones as well to rejuvenate his immortality. Christ. Yeah, so full on cannibal.
Well, like, okay, I think we need to bring an idea of who and what Vandal Savage is to people, because they don't understand. Whoa, wow, this guy's a cannibal? Why would he do that?
Oh, yeah.
Let's let them understand why.
Yes, so Vandal Savage, born 50,000 BC, was a caveman, was a Cro-Magnon. He was the leader of the Wolf Clan. And then some alien meteorite hit Earth, and Vandal went to see this meteor and ended up sleeping by it. He stayed by it for X amount of time, and the radiation of this meteor just mutated himself, giving him immortality. He can never die. Yeah. He has a limited amount of regeneration that makes it so that he could survive fatal wounds. So he's not Wolverine, as in like he can regenerate limbs and whatnot, but any wound that would kill him won't kill him.
It should,
but it won't.
Now, unless it's an immediate kill shot.
No.
Even like something to the brain, he's gonna.
Yeah, he'll survive that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's also has enhanced strength, speed,
intelligence,
reflexes, and intelligence. Yes.
Intelligence is the big one, because that's the one he uses a lot.
Yes. So that increased intelligence is what made him the first man, really, because before that they were Cro-Magnons. They were
cavemen.
Savage was pretty much like the first man.
Neanderthal to mankind. Yeah, that was Darwin's evolution. Him.
Yeah. Yeah. So I found out there's actually one other who found this meteorite. He was the leader of the Bear tribe, and which was a rival tribe to the Wolf tribe. And the leader of that tribe ended up doing the same thing as Vandal. He got a hold of the meteorite,
right?
And he became the Immortal Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the two immortals.
Yeah.
From the same meteorite.
Yeah. So Vandal Savage can't die. The Immortal Man dies, but he always reincarnates in a new body.
Hawkman?
It's not Hawkman, but they combine Hawkman with the Immortal Man in the Arrowverse Legends of Tomorrow story.
Yeah, it sounded like that. Okay, yeah. Okay. So who is the Immortal Man? Have we ever seen him? Is he relevant to anything?
Not really. He's more relevant to Vandal Savage. He's a rival to Vandal Savage.
So is he good?
I don't know much about him. Bad? I think they're both just bad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, he's just an antagonist, not a hero or nothing.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so throughout history, what makes Vandal Savage so dangerous is his wealth of experience. He's been around for 50,000 BC. So so that would make him like 50,219 years old. Some shit.
52,000.
Yeah, 52,000. Yeah. So
19.
Yeah. So he's been relevant throughout history. Here's a list of his aliases.
And what has he been trying to do for the last 50,000 plus years?
Rule the world.
Rule the world. Yeah. Pinky in the Brain style, like non-stop. What are we gonna do tonight? Fuck people up, take over the world.
Yeah. He wants to rule the world, but he has little to no affinity to human beings. Human beings means nothing to him.
Yeah.
A life lost means nothing to him. Even his own children, it means little to him. Sometimes he'll show differently. He will try to protect his own children, but when it comes down to it, he'll sacrifice his kids for his own ends.
Are there any loopholes that he could die from a wound?
Well, there was one time where somebody had came across the Spirit Destiny. Yeah. But that didn't kill him either. So he got stabbed in it, and there's some kind of weird story. I didn't read the story, I just read the highlights of it, but there's something about him actually being Cain. So he ended up getting the mark of Cain and whatnot. But yeah, apparently he's like the first murderer as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
First. Okay, man, he's the man of many firsts.
Yes.
First murderer, first cannibal, first Neanderthal to human.
Yes.
First immortal.
Yes. Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what happened once he kind of went back to his tribe with this heightened intelligence, strength, power, all these...
Oh, he ruled.
Yeah, so he came back and was like, what's up? Now I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Even more so than I was.
Yeah, like he invented fire, probably invented the wheel.
Showed them weapons, showed them better ways of this, showed them better ways of that, and then set out to basically dominate everyone. He was the first Alexander the Great, the first war baron of the world, right?
Speaking of which, exactly. So his known aliases, he was Khafre. I was going to Google these names. Some of these names, I don't know who they are, but like Khafre, I don't know who Khafre is. But he was, I don't know how to pronounce this, Cheops, Cheops, the builder of the pyramids.
Oh.
Yeah. He was Alexander the Great. He was Julius Caesar. He was Genghis Khan. He was Blackbeard the Pirate. He was Vlad the Impaler. And he was Jack the Ripper.
He's every notable figure.
Yeah. On top of that, he came to realize that putting himself in front of, like, being known and being in front of everything makes him a target. So he found that sometimes it was better for him to be an advisor rather than be the conqueror. So he's been also an advisor to Eric the Red. He's been an advisor to...
The Viking?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was an advisor to William the Conqueror.
William Wallace?
I think so, yeah. He was an advisor to Napoleon Bonaparte. He was an advisor to Otto von Bismarck.
That one actually sounds familiar. Okay.
And he was an advisor to Adolf Hitler.
Go fucking figure.
Yeah.
Hey, have you tried cooking them? Fuck.
Yeah.
Leave it to Vandal.
Yeah. So, as you see, he's been a prominent figure throughout history. So every time you hear about some rule of the world, some megalomaniac, Vandal Savage was either Vandal Savage or Vandal Savage was pulling the strings for that conqueror.
Yeah, he's pushing and leading and basically manipulating to make that happen. No matter what, basically any ruler, any great leader, or anyone who's tried to take over and dominate the world, you can bet they got Vandal in their back pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, you mentioned the Spirit Destiny.
Yes.
We see it in Legends of Tomorrow, and it's a relic, basically, that's broken into parts.
Yes.
And they have to recover it. Do you know anything more about it?
No.
Okay, so basically it's just this uber weapon.
Yeah.
That's so old that apparently it can stop these immortals.
Yeah.
But when they finally use it, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, well, exactly. And the Spirit Destiny is a minor part of his story. It was one comic book series. That's it.
Yeah, and it didn't even work at the end of the series. It was kind of like, oh, well, we tried.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll get him next time.
Yeah.
But they never do.
No.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
How do you beat Vandal Savage?
You really can't. But luckily, Vandal Savage is not a fighter per se. He'll fight. Like I said, he's got over 50,000 years of experience, so he's a skilled combatant.
You know, yeah, like
he's a thinker more than a fighter.
He's gonna do most of the fighting before you ever step into the ring.
Yes.
right? Like he's gonna have everything in his favor already.
Yes,
that's the kind of fighter he is.
He's got plans on top of plans on top of plans on top of plans, and he's immortal. So if plans fail, fuck it, I'll just try again tomorrow.
Another 100 years to, try again.
Yeah,
and that's the beautiful thing. He literally can just keep trying the same plans every 50 years with new people.
Yeah,
same plan.
Yeah,
they just don't know it.
Yeah,
the old guys knew it. These guys don't.
Yeah. But that's why I've always compared him to Apocalypse, because he's been around for so long and he's really unkillable. Apocalypse is way more powerful, but that's not to say Vandal Savage is no less dangerous.
I was gonna say he's plenty dangerous, especially with like the manipulation and time he's spent here, things he's set up, put in motion.
Yeah,
like he could have been what created Apocalypse for all we know. Like
if they weren't in the same world.
Yeah, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. Like he was around long enough to basically put those into effect. Because with his knowledge, he knows science, he knows mechanics, he knows everything, right?
Mm-hmm. He formed a group that would later become the Illuminati, and that group was responsible for the destruction of Atlantis.
Oh, jeez, yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
Now, which group is it he's part of? Is it the Legion of Doom?
He's been part of a few teams. So he's been part of the, and this brought a thought that I've had for a long time with these stupid names. So he's been part of the Injustice Society. He's been part of Tartarus, and he's been part of the Secret Society of Supervillains. Now, I have to think these are terrible names because any good villain doesn't see themselves as a villain. So why would they call their team the Secret Society of Supervillains? I mean, like that's just twirly of the mustache villain type stuff.
Yeah. Comics
are weird.
It's almost like, let's be so obvious they'll never expect that.
Yeah, well, maybe obvious. It makes them less interesting. Even like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in Marvel. I've always preferred calling them the Brotherhood, not the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, because calling themselves the Evil Mutants means they admit that they are evil. And a good villain doesn't see themselves as the villain. They see themselves as the hero of their own story.
That's what makes a good villain.
That's right.
Mysterio, case in point.
Well, Mysterio for the movie.
Exactly.
Well, not even. He was out there for money as well.
Yeah, but he thought what he was doing.
Thanos is a better example.
Thinks he's doing better for everyone.
Magneto.
Yep.
Magneto
this is for the greater good.
Magneto sees himself as the hero.
Yeah, because those are the ones that you honestly don't think of them as villains.
No.
Like, if you say Magneto, I'm like, can be bad.
Yeah.
Is he bad? Debatable.
It depends on your perspective.
Yeah. And that's what makes a good villain.
Yeah. So that's why we talked about Lex Luthor not too long ago. That's why I like Lex Luthor. In his own mind, he's not a villain. In his own mind, he is a necessity. He is a hero in his own story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Vandal Savage doesn't care about good or bad.
He is definitely a villain.
Yes. However, there is a two-part episode. Well, actually, they were all two-part episodes. In the original Justice League series, before Justice League Unlimited, every episode was actually a two-part episode. It was always a part one, part two of a story. Yeah. And there was one, it was called, I forget what it was called, but it was one where Toyman, Metallo, Livewire, and Weather Wizard teamed up to set a trap for Superman to kill Superman. And they're attacking Metropolis. The Justice League showed up to stop them. Superman showed up. Toyman had this gigantic robot that was shooting this death beam. And then the death beam finally hit Superman, and everybody thought Superman died. Because he just disintegrated into nothing.
Yeah. But
turns out in the part two of that story, that beam actually transported Superman to something like 50,000 years into the future. Something like that, something crazy like that, like years and years in the future.
Yeah.
And when you see Superman, he doesn't know he's in the future. He thinks he's on a different planet. He's trying to contact the Justice League, saying that he's on a strange planet with a red sun, so he doesn't have any of his powers. And so, but he's got a beacon for the Justice League. He's figuring that they got transported somewhere else on this planet, so he's following that beacon. And he's traveling through this planet, going through deserts and going through this snow wasteland. Finally finds the beacon. He finds the watchtower. The watchtower crashed, and that's when he realized that he's actually on Earth.
Oh, Earth?
Yeah, kind of like Planet of the Apes when he sees the.
Fuck, I'm here the whole time.
Yeah, when
the Statue of Liberty.
You maniacs!
Yeah.
You blew it up. Yeah.
That's good.
It's kind of like that. So he goes in, and then in there he finds Vandal Savage. And Vandal Savage is the last man alive because he's immortal. And then Superman finds out that the destruction of Earth was actually Vandal Savage was responsible for it. Vandal Savage ended up getting some kind of anti-gravity weapon that gave him power over gravity, which ended up
just threw everyone into space.
Well, he ended up screwing up the Earth's gravitation, which is,
went out of orbit.
Yeah, and just pretty much wiping out all life on Earth.
Yeah, yeah, but he doesn't need normal circumstances to survive. He's like, "Yep, it's cold. I'm living."
Exactly, exactly, and then. That's how far into the future Superman went. He went so far into the future that our sun had become a red sun, a dying sun.
Oh, see, I thought they had just gone so far away from the sun, they found a new sun.
No, same sun.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Because, so a dying sun turns red.
Yeah.
So was that the end of that story?
No. Superman ends up, finds out that, so Vandal Savage ends up being repentant. He ended up regretting what he did because what's the point of?
Bored.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been around. He's been alone on Earth for hundreds, thousands of years.
Fuck, I'm bored. I haven't talked to anyone but myself for a while.
So he pretty much picked up every book he could find on Earth, and he pretty much read everything. And he ended up rebuilding Metropolis on his own, giving himself like electricity, using hydroelectric water to give himself power, electricity, so he could cook stuff. And life has evolved and mutated. Wolves are like these gigantic beasts with armor on their heads, and cockroaches are the size of minivans. And,
evolution at its finest.
Yeah. So Superman finds out that Vandal Savage was working on a time machine, but Vandal Savage could never use it because he can't be transported back to a time where he already existed, and Vandal Savage exists at all times because he can never die. But Superman, for all intents and purposes, is dead in that timeline.
Because he went to the future.
That's right. So
he's no longer in that timeline. He just has to go back 1 second after he disappeared.
That's right. So they end up transporting Superman back to his time 4 days before Vandal Savage destroys the Earth.
Oh, okay, but Superman lost a bunch of time, probably.
A little bit of time.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So that was a good 2-part story and a good story about Vandal Savage.
Well, yeah, because it just showed that he will be there before and he will be there after.
Yep.
You can't get rid of this fucking cockroach.
Nope.
And that's why he was a good villain. Like, probably one of the best villains for them to place in DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the show runs, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's basically it's a time jumper. It's back to the future, to the future, to the future, to the past, back to the future, to the future, to the past.
Yeah.
They're all over the fucking place. Sometimes they're in the present time, and at all times, there's basically a big meltdown where their city explodes, and they're trying to fix that. And all along the timeline, they keep running into Vandal Savage, and he's the one who brings that upon the city. Yeah. It's like Star City or whatever. They just gets wiped out. Yeah. Like, the world just goes to hell. Everything's dying. World War III. Vandal Savage to blame, and they're jumping through time, basically trying to thump them, thwart them at each turn. Yeah. That's when they find the Spear of Destiny. That's when they basically form their team. Mm-hmm. Now, you probably watched a little farther into DC Legends than me. What happens in the most recent seasons? Is he still relevant at all?
No, he hasn't been showcased since the first season. Maybe he was shown in the second season.
He went up to number 2.
Oh wait, no, you see Vandal Savage in Hell in the most recent season.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So he's dead.
I think so, yeah. But I mean, it's the Arrowverse. They don't need to follow comic book continuity.
No, and we know he'll be back.
Yeah. No, you better.
There's been other
Although
people.
I wasn't a big fan of the actor for him.
They could have got a better actor.
Yeah. However, I found out that there's been, like, in the New 52 of DC Comics, Vandal Savage was part of this series called The Demon Knights or something like that. And apparently he was more of a comic relief in that. Yeah, which is interesting. Which is more in line with how they were portraying him in Flash and in Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was more of a joke. Like, yeah, you're here, but not taking you seriously.
Yeah, I couldn't take the actor seriously, and
he was a very he was a hothead.
Yeah,
the actor and his performance. It always seemed like he'd get angry and just anger fuels everything. Yeah, that's not Vandal Savage. He's an intelligent, calculated, manipulative fuck.
Yeah. Now, don't let that fool you. He's also really insane.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, a few things that's been a constant throughout all his stories as well is that he's got cancer. Apparently, he has had cancer since he first met the meteorite.
Really?
Yeah. So whenever he's losing his immortality, the cancer starts coming back.
Kicking his ass.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's been living with cancer his entire life.
How does it affect him, do you think?
Well, while he's at his prime, doesn't affect him at all.
I was going to say, probably not until he starts losing his immortality.
Yeah. Then he just eats one of his predecessors, and yeah.
Just eat your brains.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Yeah.
Bring out your dad.
Yeah.
How's he tracking down?
What's that?
Is there one that you remember, for example, how he tracked down one of his descendants?
No. I was not aware that he did this until I did my research on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
that's probably pretty easy to just remember where you've been, remember who you slept with, and then just round about every 10 years or so. And just
he's refined the art of keeping track of where his lineage is.
Yeah, being Jack the Ripper, you get good at doing stupid stuff like that.
Yeah. So I had mentioned that he was a Alan Scott villain at first, but he became more of a Flash villain after a while. Jay Garrick, and then Wally West and Barry Allen as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been a villain of all iterations of the Flash.
Okay, and what are some major things he's done to fuck with the speedsters?
Oh, he was the inventor of Velocity 9.
Oh, the accelerant.
Yeah. So he created Velocity 9 and started giving it to a bunch of criminals. For people who don't watch The Flash, Velocity 9 is a drug that gives people access to the Speed Force temporarily. But it's highly addictive. So he was giving this Velocity 9 to street thugs to take over Central City. And then Flash ends up defeating him and whatnot, but not before Vandal Savage was trying to try and get higher up clientele, like some of the like the richer clientele, get them addicted to Velocity 9. In that altercation, he ended up injecting Velocity 9 in the Flash, which gave Flash like increased speed. Faster than he's ever been, but after that wore out, he actually lost his speed for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Basically ran out of it.
Yeah.
Went too fast.
Yeah.
Lost his connection with the Speed Force.
Yeah. So yeah,
that'll teach you for doping.
So in the comics, he wasn't involved. He wasn't responsible for Velocity 9. I'm pretty sure it was Wells who created Earth 2. Wells, I think, was the one who created Velocity 9, or was it?
What a female, I thought.
Or was it the villain at the time? Not Zoom, but...
it was essentially Zoom, though, as Jay Garrett. Or who was pretending to be Jay Garrett?
It wasn't Zoom. It was another speedster villain of the Flash. I'm blanking on his name right now, but yeah.
Yeah,
he was the one responsible for Velocity 9 in the show. In the actual comics, it was Vandal Savage that was responsible for Velocity 9.
That's interesting, because that did cover like a couple episodes I remember of Flash, like season 4 or something.
Yeah.
So Other than Velocity 9, what else have you done to the speedsters?
Just being a thorn in her side, really.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, I haven't personally read any comics where he's fighting the Flash. To be honest with you, I haven't read a lot of comics with Vandal Savage being featured. Yeah. Only one comic that I've read that featured Vandal Savage, and it was a comic that my coworker lent me while I was doing my research on Lex Luthor.
Oh, okay. Tell us about that.
So in this one, this is where Lex Luthor was trying to regain the Orange Lantern ring, to regain that power.
Yeah.
So in that search, there is a story where Vandal Savage was part of. It was like a medieval or whatever, and some fortune teller told him about Lex Luthor. He's going to meet Lex Luthor in like 500 years from now, kind of thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think Lex Luthor ended up time traveling. They ended up meeting back then, and then in modern times they ended up meeting. And Vandal Savage is trying to get Lex Luthor to work with him, but Lex Luthor is so pompous, so arrogant that he just shoos away Vandal Savage. And Vandal Savage was insulted by this because I'm fucking Vandal Savage. Who the hell are you to shoo me away?
Don't you know who I am? No. Fucking no.
I was Genghis Khan.
I was everyone. I was your dad. For fuck's sake, probably was.
Some of his kids have also been prominent characters in comics as well. Well, I say prominent. He's had kids that has been characters in comics as well.
Some notable.
Yeah, some villains, some heroes.
Anyone that you could name?
No, not really.
Okay, so no one too important.
Yeah, no, not really. And some of their names, like I think one of them was called Vandal Savage.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's got a daughter.
Yeah.
In the more recent 52.
Yeah.
Don't know nothing about that though.
Yeah.
My limitations of knowledge on Vandal Savage are basically it's immortal.
Yeah.
It's been around a long, long time.
Yeah.
He's kind of fucked with everyone at least once.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's been a villain for almost every DC hero. Like, he's been a villain for Superman. He's been a villain for Batman. He's been a villain for the Flash. Been a villain for Green Lantern. When Batman died fighting Darkseid and got transported back in the past, he ended up facing Vandal Savage a few times as Batman was trying to fight his way back to the present time.
This is for Batman.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't read that series.
Batman get thrown into the past.
Yeah, that happened. So Batman got hit by Darkseid's Omega Beam.
Yeah.
Which is his eye lasers that he could control and heat seek and like almost impossible to avoid.
It's like Cyclops on steroids. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up hitting Batman, and everybody thought Batman died, but somehow he got transported back to like the dawn of time. And
he was the first Black Knight.
Pretty much. Yeah. And it was like a bunch of different stories. Like there's one story where it was in the Western time, and Vandal Savage was trying to procure some item with the bat symbol, and Jonah Hex was involved somehow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like Jonah.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about him. I just know he's an old Western.
Yeah.
Basically sold his soul.
Yeah.
Kind of demon wrangler.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. Jonah Hex is a cool character.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have much more to talk about on Vandal Savage. I knew it was going to be a shorter episode today.
Well, how about this? Well, let's see some of his other villain team-ups. Because we know we've mentioned some leagues that he's a part of and some teams. Who else?
We talk about Young Justice because he's pretty important in Young Justice.
Yeah, I agree. Because I know in a lot of the cartoons you haven't touched base, and he plays some mega roles in there.
Yeah. So in Young Justice, he's the leader of the Light, where he is trying to make deals with Darkseid, and he's also making deals with aliens and whatnot. He's like kind of like the puppet master behind everything that's happening in season 2 of Young Justice, and spilling over into season 3 as well. He ended up trying to capture Warworld, and I think he ended up taking control of Warworld by the end of season 2, right?
He got real damn close to it. At the end of season 2, Mongol gets released. Remember, him and Black Beetle are fighting. They get off whatever it is, the ships, and then I think that must be the start of season 3. But
yeah,
for the finale of War World, because I haven't started watching 3 yet. But I finished 2. Yeah, so War World is involved greatly at the end of that, and yeah, basically that's Vandal Savage plugging and pushing, making Black Beetle and Deathstroke do this, and they got other people doing this, right? Sportmaster, but that's all Vandal Savage pushing and pulling and the strings.
Yeah. So he's an important figure in Young Justice.
We got another question here from Mads. What would you say are his best and worst qualities?
Well, his best quality would be that he has infinite knowledge, really. I mean,
experience.
Infinite experience. He's been around for 50,000 years. He's been Genghis Khan. He's been Alexander the Great. He's conquered worlds. He's a master strategist. He's a scientist. He's an archaeologist. He's been multiple different jobs, careers.
Architect.
Yeah.
You name it.
Yeah, he's got a wealth of knowledge. He is eternally arrogant, and like I said, he has no regard for human life whatsoever. Guy is completely insane, and as I mentioned before, he is a cannibal. So I would put that in a negative.
Makes a mean human stew.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lets it cook for a while too.
Yeah. Another good movie is Justice League. I mentioned earlier, Justice League Doom.
War?
No, Justice League War is the one with Darkseid and everything. Justice League Doom, where Vandal Savage ends up stealing the plans that Batman has. So Batman keeps contingency plans for each member of the Justice League.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I got a little bit of information about that, though.
Okay.
So in the animated movie, it's Vandal Savage who ends up stealing the plans that Batman has, contingency plans Batman has on each member of the Justice League, then uses those plans to take out each member of the Justice League. In the comic, that was an actual comic that happened. In a comic, it wasn't Vandal Savage. It was actually Ra's al Ghul that did that.
Oh, shit.
One immortal to another.
Yeah, Ra's hasn't been around anywhere near as long.
No, Ra's is a few hundred years old, whereas Vandal is a few thousands of years old.
And that would be a good one-on-one. I think they do a versus too of that somewhere online.
They have teamed up more often than not.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, you're not going to die. You're not going to die.
Yeah.
Even if everyone else dies, I'm going to have to deal with you later.
Yeah. They both have the same ideology as well, survival of the strongest, survival of the fittest. That's another reason why I compared Vandal Savage to Apocalypse as well. Yeah. Because he's a believer in survival of the fittest, survival of the strongest. If you're not strong enough to live, then you weren't meant to live.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
In terms of other team-ups, I guess. So you said he was with, what, Injustice Society.
Yes.
Who are some other notable members of that league?
Injustice Society. I'm trying to remember who was members of that. I think Gorilla Grodd was part of that.
Okay, and we see him in Young Justice.
Yeah.
Following orders from Vandal.
Yeah. And a bunch of other villains that are prominent.
B-listers.
Yeah, well, from Earth 2, because they were the Injustice Society was the villain team to fight against the Justice Society.
Right.
So, a lot of villains that I'd never heard of, really.
And then some of his other team-ups, who were they? Like, the Super Secret...
the Secret Society of Supervillains.
Yeah, that one.
So, I think Lex Luthor was part of that.
Okay.
And Poison Ivy was part of that. And it's just a group of villains that Vandal Savage put together to try and take out Justice League, because when he came to the Earth 1 and found out, he quickly got attention of the Justice League, or the Justice League quickly got his attention as being a major roadblock to his future plans. Yeah. Whatever those plans are, he knows that the Justice League are going to be a thorn in his side, so he formed the secret society of supervillains to take out the Justice League.
Yeah, because no matter what he tries to do, he's like, well, they're always going to fucking try and stop.
Yeah.
If I just take them out, then it's free game. I win.
Yeah. So I think members of that was like the Brain and Monsieur. I'm forgetting his.
The French monkey.
Yeah. And I think Simon was part of that team as well. And
bunch of random. Oh, Simon, the guy with the cat, the evil.
No. Simon, the psychic. In Young Justice, he's
the
one
he's the brain dude who goes against Magon a few times.
Yes. So that's Simon, not to be confused with the Brain, or the living brain, which is just a brain that's inside of a robotic jar. That's always with Monsieur, whatever, the French monkey.
Yes. Now, who is the demon guy with the cat?
Oh, that is I'm blanking on his name, but in the comics, he's nowhere near as powerful as they showed him in Young Justice.
Yeah, they showed him being really strong.
Yeah, well, they made him as an agent of chaos. They're like the complete opposite of Dr. Fate.
Yeah. Like they're going head to head, like duking it out hard, and it's like, man, this guy's bringing it.
In the comics, he's nowhere near as powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was curious about that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well. I don't know if we have any more questions. I think that kind of wraps it up for Vandal Savage for today.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is this is a character that I feel like they should put in the movies. A Flash movie or a Superman movie. Hell, even a Wonder Woman movie because of the immortality thing, right? Just a Justice League movie. He could be.
Anyone.
He could be a villain that's behind the scenes. You don't see him until at the very end of the movie. Maybe you never see him. Maybe you see him in like after the credits scene kind of thing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The best thing to do would be for the next few ones that they have coming out, always leave that little kind of like, who's doing this?
Yeah.
Right? Set up some B-list villains. Set up some guys they're supposed to win against. You don't even have to show some Omegas. You could bring in some B-list characters, villains. Leave that guy pushing the pieces, in the chair. You know how the end of Gadget always scrolls out and you see just the arm and the chair and the cat of Claw or whatever. Like, you don't even have to show it all.
Yeah.
Just let it be like, I think that was Savage.
Yeah.
I think that was Vandal.
Yeah. Or a better example would be like with the Marvel movies. So the one that was tying them all together was Nick Fury, right?
Right.
But you only saw him in the after the credit scenes. What if you watched every Marvel movie, but you never saw the end credit scenes? You never saw Nick Fury was the one who was pulling the strings that was bringing all of this together.
Mm-hmm.
Do that with Savage.
Yeah.
Bring up these villains, and they all mention one being, that's one person that's pulling the strings, that's allowing all this to happen, but never show him and never say his name.
Just refer to the boss or the one or him.
Yeah.
Him.
Or like in Young Justice, call him the Light.
The Light. Call him what you want, but make it be so he's that enigmatic figure.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how you do a good Vandal Savage.
Yeah.
Because you could span movies and decades and everything, and it's always him.
Yeah.
You never even have to have him walk on screen.
Yeah.
That would be a good way to feature him.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so with that being said, next week I will not be here.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny will be replacing me, and you guys will be covering on who?
I don't know. Kenny, what are we covering?
Was it Spider-Man, I thought, right?
Are we doing Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna do all, like, Spider-Man might be a multi-part thing. But we will begin covering Spider-Man next week because trust me, there is no character I know better of. I know I've got like hundreds of comics on Spider-Man. I've been reading him since I was 12 years old. There's no character I know better than Spider-Man. So trust me, it's going to take more than one episode for me to talk about Spider-Man.
And let the web crawl begin.
Yep.
So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great show next week. Thanks for everyone tuning in this week. Same time, same place next week, 8 o'clock Saturday. We'll be rerunning this Vandal Savage episode just before the show. If you guys got any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks for tuning in here, Mads. And yeah, see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Sayonara.